Good evening, everyone from Quarantine Land. This is the Token and Hobbs Show, a Road to Liberty podcast on the Think Liberty Network. Welcome, one and all, to tonight's show. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you could join us. I am your host, of course, Mr. Token, joined with my good friend and professional nudist, Dustin Hobbs. What's up, my man?
No, not too bad. Just
you thought I forgot
day.
about that, didn't you?
Yep. No, I know you're not. It's another day living the essential life.
That's right. Damn right. Essential Master Race here, coming to you from the outside world. We have seen it. We've been out and about doing things in the sun with no roof over our heads. Essential workers. Us. That's right. Actually, there's no stay-at-home order in Nebraska. So
nope.
It's not like we're the only ones out and about. The roads have not been cleared of non-essential personnel for me yet, which is very frustrating because I still got to deal with idiot drivers on the road getting in my way and cut me off when I'm trying to do my job. Stop doing that, please. You don't got to worry about that. Nobody lives out where you are.
Sure.
I mean, that's when I think of anything west of Lincoln, I just think endless cornfields, right? That's like you have a workbench in a cornfield.
Yep.
And that's where you work. There's no walls, no roof, dirt as a floor. It's just you and a workbench.
Yeah,
and I guess a solar panel for electricity, right?
No, I've got hamsters on a wheel.
You're out in a field churning butter like Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah.
It's funny though, because that is like legitimately the perception most of the country has of Nebraska as a whole, right? And then those of us from Omaha and Lincoln were like, that's stupid. There's stuff in Nebraska. And then what we mean by stuff in Nebraska is Omaha and Lincoln.
Hey, we got I-80. There's a road. There's a road.
It's a road. Fuck that road. We're libertarians. We don't like roads.
Right.
We're not about that road life. We want to tear them all up, or so people like to say. I don't know. I'm pretty fond of roads myself. We named our podcast after roads, after all. That's how fond of them we are. Call me a statist if you will, but I like roads. So there is that. Gee, what are we going to talk about today, Hobbs? There's nothing going on at all.
Corona.
Except Corona is literally the only thing ever going on at all. It's getting really annoying. I just want to fucking go out and start punching the air, hoping I kill some coronaviruses in the process. Just take a flamed. That's what we should be doing, right? Instead of doing all this shit, just massively invest in flamethrowers, right? Because fire kills viruses, right? Yeah. Give everyone a goddamn flamethrower. Give the dudes at Walmart a flamethrower, and after everybody walks in, they just spray the air down with fire. Dude,
that's Elon Musk playing the long game right there. Remember, he came out with his commercial flamethrowers a couple of years ago. He saw it coming.
Yeah, Elon Musk. He could have saved us. We didn't listen to him. Elon Musk can save humanity from the coronavirus. Just let him do it. Why isn't Elon Musk running for president? Seriously, that guy needs to be president.
Because he was born in South Africa.
No. You know what? It's probably best. He's actually a useful human being, so we don't want to waste him in politics. Right? What politics is where useless people go, right?
It's a popularity contest for ugly people.
You don't go into politics to be a productive member of society, right? You go to politics to stroke your own ego, right? That's why Trump got into it. That's literally why he got into it. I don't doubt for a second that he got into it just to stroke his ego. Like, I'm the best. I'm gonna prove it by being. I'm the best businessman. I'm the best golfer. I'm the best reality TV show host. I'm gonna be the best president of America. Yay me. And he did. He fucking did it too. Like, God damn it, Trump. You had to be president too. Really?
Yeah, you know, he's out there just like hitting the punch card. I gotta respect the hustle.
I guess so, right? I guess so. It's the ultimate power trip, though, right? Like, it's not good enough for you to have your name on like every building you've ever been associated with. No, now you gotta stamp your name onto every history book written from here on out, right? Like you now you just forced high school history teachers to teach future kids about you. From now into infinity, your name's going to be on history books. And you did that, and you ran for president just so that would be the reality. So you'd be immortal now, right? Here's the thing. Businessmen, even very rich and powerful businessmen, come and go and aren't remembered, right? You have to be like a really, really top-notch businessman to be like remembered in history. And I don't think Trump, business mogul, yeah, he'd be remembered. I don't think he'd be like a fucking Rockefeller or a Ford, though, right? One of those titans of industry that you just are remembered in the national consciousness. Not anymore, because he was a fucking president now.
Yeah, you know, the difference between guys like pre-President Trump and Rockefellers and Fords is that the Rockefellers, the Fords, they had their hands involved in a lot of charity work, philanthropy. They also did a lot of social engineering and a lot of shady dealings and stuff like that. So
Mercedes goes, totally ignore me. I'm drunk. Disclaimer. That's okay, Mercedes. We're getting there too. We'll go there.
North Carolina says rum and coke gang, what up?
What up? Damn right. Hit it back. Oh, I love you so much. Well, speaking of people who are president, you know who won't be president? That's right.
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders will not be president because it pissed me off because the day after we filmed last week's episode, he decided to drop out of the race. That would have given us something to talk about last week. Thanks a lot, Bernie.
So much material.
So much material. So we were going to talk about that, but yesterday, he decided to go full on cuck, right? He decided to bitch out in the bitchiest bitch way imaginable and endorsed Joe Biden. I was thinking he would wait till at least after the convention to do this.
Yeah.
No, sir. He had to get on his knees as soon as possible and make sure that he kissed Joe Biden's ring.
Yeah, be nice to the guy. He's not selling out. He didn't cuck out. He's not kissing the ring or anything. He's simply adhering to his socialist principles by redistributing my votes to Joe Biden, who is obviously hurting for anything he can get. Now, everybody could go out and vote blue, no matter who, because there's only one, and you know who. It ain't me.
And it's never going to be you, but it's funny how this guy, right? This fucking guy who bills himself as a revolutionary, the leader of a movement, a man of principles, every single time he cucks out and supports the establishment that fucked him over.
Yep. On the plus side, though, with this coronavirus thing and all of the financial troubles that the country is getting into, the housing market is likely to collapse again, which means that with this season's cash haul, Bernie can maybe buy 2 new houses instead of just 1.
Oh, man. And then we can hear from Democratic Socialists why it's okay to own 5 houses.
Oh, yeah. Well,
yeah,
he earned those. But
yeah,
the guy that owns a business doesn't.
Every other millionaire got their fortune by ill-gotten means, but not Bernie Sanders. He worked hard and lifted himself by his bootstraps.
Right.
He's the only person to ever do that, too.
Right.
Nobody else who has $1 million ever earned that wealth. They all stole it from the workers and the poor and the working class, or whatever the case may be. So I just want to show you what cucking looks like.
I haven't seen this yet.
I want
I'm
you
excited.
guys to see it, and I want you. No, hold up! I just hit it again, so they can still hear us, even though that we're not on screen right now. But this, I want you to pay attention to Joe Biden's face when. And for those of you listening right now, we're going to be showing the video. And we'll point out the moment it happens. When Bernie Sanders says he endorses Joe Biden does this fake smirk. Oh, you're endorsing me. Oh, thank you. Kind of smirk. He doesn't say that, but it's the look on his face. It's freaking hilarious. So let's see what cucking looks like.
We are in a terrible moment, an unprecedented moment. And I know we share the understanding.
Look at Bernie. He looks so upset to have to do this again. Look at his face.
He literally looks like somebody's putting something dangerously close to his butthole. Like just tickling the rim just a little bit, not enough to make it not enough to make it like painfully uncomfortable, but just enough so that he knows that it's there.
Yeah, it's like it looks like a hostage video. Like Hillary Clinton is filming this whole thing, and she's just reminding him what happened to Epstein.
We've got to go forward right now and out of this in an unprecedented way.
Look at Joe Biden's face, too. What is with his face?
He doesn't know where he is.
Look at his mouth. I've never seen him look like that before. He literally looks like he had a stroke.
Yeah, he has. I think that he has, within the last couple of months, had another mild stroke.
Conspiracy theorist! You're not allowed to make that judgment.
To address
he literally does, though.
Pain that so many of our fellow Americans are feeling. So today I am
Here it comes.
Asking all Americans, I'm asking every Democrat, I'm asking every independent, I'm asking a lot of Republicans.
Not us, though. He's not asking libertarians. So I think we're good. Excuse you. Goddamn.
To come together in this campaign to support your candidacy, which I endorse.
You see that? You see that? Oh, I am not worthy of your endorsement, Bernie Sanders. By the way, do this up because I really need your voters to support me. Make sure they understand that if they don't support me, you're not going to make it to 2024.
Nope.
Make certain that we defeat somebody who I believe, and I'm speaking just for myself now, is the most dangerous president in the modern history of this country.
God,
president,
I can't stand Joe
point,
Biden's face in this whole thing. He's just kind of awkwardly sitting there, looking at the camera, saying nothing.
Like he's got just a tiny little piece of peanut butter stuck to the roof of his mouth, and he's like smacking. He doesn't know quite how to get rid of it yet.
He's trying to get something out of his teeth, but doing it discreetly so no one notices. Like the dude looks like he's falling asleep, but someone behind the camera is going, "Awake, awake, stay awake."
The microphone's muted. There's like a person behind there going, "Joe, come on, Joe, keep your head up. You can do it, buddy.
Let's keep going."
If you keep your head up, there's going to be applesauce. We're going to have the airplane.
Oh.
Did you say applesauce? You son of a bitch, I'm in.
Downplayed this pandemic, who ignored the advice that...
Did you see how Joe just sat up in his seat?
If you imagine that there's somebody behind the camera that's like holding up a pudding cup or some applesauce or something. Every time he like shifts in his seat and like his attention is suddenly snapped back into reality, it's like, ooh, I get a treat.
Look at this.
Who ignored the advice that some of these people were giving him, who has not used the Defense Production Act early on so that we could produce the masks, the gowns, the gloves, the ventilators.
Like he's literally falling asleep right now.
Desperately need, who today, because I understand that is threatening to fire Dr. Fauci.
I mean, notice one thing. Notice one thing while this is going on. He's literally said nothing good about Joe Biden during this endorsement.
No.
Not a goddamn thing. He doesn't have anything nice to say about him.
No, this is a man who he's giving his endorsement basically at gunpoint, and this is what the entire election season has been on. It's not we're the best choice. It's just Trump is the worst choice.
No, that's exactly what this is. I mean, he's giving his endorsement of Joe Biden. He's encouraging Democrats, Republicans, and independents to all support this senile old man who just finished giving him a rim job and destroying him in the campaign. And he can't even bring himself to say anything good about him, right? He's like, okay, fine. I'll endorse Joe Biden, but I'm going to complain about it the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what can I say about Joe Biden that hasn't already been said? He's still alive, so there's that. For now.
Debatable.
Yeah.
I'm not. If you look at Joe Biden in this video, you can kind of see the strings, right, holding him up. That's not an alive person.
Still more evidence of him being alive than Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
True story.
Oh man,
he's gonna pick her for his vice president.
You know what? I was just about to say that. What do you think Bernie is going to get out of this shellacking that he is subjecting himself to? He's not going to be the VP. He's not going to be Secretary of State. He's not good. He is prostrating himself at the altar of self-sacrifice, and he will get nothing from the Democratic Party.
Here's what he'll get, right? Joe Biden will pretend to adopt some of Bernie Sanders' platform. That's what he'll get, right? He'll make some speech about, we really like the ideas of Bernie Sanders. We really like the ideas of Bernie Sanders. He's a very wise man. That's what he's gonna do. He's gonna adopt some of Bernie's platform, and he's gonna say, "See, Bernie, now shut the fuck up and let me do my thing." Right? Or rather, whoever is handling Joe Biden will tell him that, because Joe Biden doesn't have the mental capacity to actually say 5 intelligible words in a row. So,
right. Yeah. The one of the things, part of the progressive platform that Joe Biden will not be endorsing is marijuana legalization. I saw an article pop up right before we began that said that crazy Uncle Joe must be still living in the reefer madness days, says it's a gateway drug.
Jesus Christ, is he serious?
Yeah.
This is the man that Democrats chose to be their nominee. Keep this in mind. They had dozens of choices.
This is the man that the Democratic Party leadership chose to be their nominee. The Democratic Party, and as a broad whole, I think that they probably would have wanted Bernie Sanders, honestly. It's the leadership, the old school Clinton faction that still has the reins of power.
That's true and all, but it's not like Bernie Sanders was actually winning the primaries and caucuses when it mattered. Like, the same thing happened in the Republican Party. Republican establishment did not want Trump, at all. I mean, they were talking about changing the rules at the convention to keep him from getting the nomination, right?
Yeah.
They couldn't stop it because at the end of the day, Republican voters wanted Trump. And they made Trump the nominee. If Democratic voters wanted Bernie to be the nominee, he'd be the nominee right now, right?
Yeah.
Now, Biden may be the establishment choice, no doubt about that. But Democratic voters are the ones that implemented the will of the Democratic establishment, right?
Yeah.
They did not defy the will of Democratic voters, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Democratic voters made Joe Biden the nominee, and they're going to have to suffer the consequences of that because I don't see how Joe Biden gets through this campaign season. Probably the coronavirus is probably the best thing that ever happened to his campaign because now he doesn't have to stand face to face with Donald Trump and have a debate. Probably he can probably get out of that if he wants to. Donald Trump would destroy him in a debate.
I was really looking forward to the debates between Quagmire and Mr. Herbert, but I guess that's just not going to happen now.
I mean, it might. I hope it does. I mean, how many people do you need in a room to do a debate? Right? You need the moderators, you need the cameraman, you need the candidates, and you need the 3 people that hold up the Biden puppet. Right? That's who you need in there, right? So it's not that many people. You can test all those people prior and have them do a debate. But I mean, if Biden wants out, he has an excuse. If this thing doesn't get better by then, which I mean it might. Things are starting to look a little better right now. New York looks to be flattening their curve. Total cases numbers are starting to go down. Deaths are starting to go down. We're seeing a little bit of reprieve from the coronavirus. So, but we'll have to see if that continues, right? But Democrats, this is your man. This is the guy you nominated. I hope you're happy with yourselves. And oddly, and funny enough, remember we told you about last week, woman named Tara Reid accusing Joe Biden of rape. Well, she actually filed legal charges this week against Joe Biden. So now it's official, right? It's not just some woman saying something. It's some woman saying something and filing criminal charges. So where's your Me Too now, Democrats? Where's your Believe Women? See, I'm old enough to remember when women didn't lie about rape.
Right.
That was last year? Now they do, apparently. Now that's an ability they've gained in the year since.
Yes,
right?
This is all, definitely, totally, 100%. This is absolutely just a political play. When Brett Kavanaugh was being confirmed for Supreme Court, then it was hands down, this isn't political, justice needs to be served. Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's
always fun. Good.
I made the comment in a chat group that I'm in a few days ago that Republicans, libertarians, centrists, independents, basically anybody right of center are boxing by the Marquis de Queensberry rules, and everybody to the left of that is bringing brass knuckles and shivs, and the referee is turning a blind eye to it. That seems to be the rule, and has been for almost as long as I've been alive, where there's two separate rules for the 2 separate sides, and if you're over here on the left, you can do basically whatever you want, any underhanded tricks, fight dirty, and if you're over here on the right, not only are you expected to play by all of the rules by the other team, but the people that are on your team hold you to that standard as well. Tie one arm behind your back and be like, no, even if we lose, we'll still lose with the moral high ground. It's like, even if you lose with the moral high ground, you're still a loser.
I don't know how true that is, though. Because I mean, well, who was it? Moore. What was that guy in Alabama running for Senate?
Roy Moore.
Roy fucking Moore. Remember that guy?
Yeah.
Oh my God, what a fucking joke that dude was. Here's a guy, and here's the thing about it. There was actual evidence against Roy Moore, right? There was like companies were kicking him out of their store and banning him for being a creepy weirdo, right? Like there's actual shit on the guy.
Mhm.
And a lot of Republicans were like, we got to keep the Senate.
Yeah.
Put a pedo in office.
Yeah.
Like, no, dude, you put pedos and wood chippers, not in the Senate. What the hell is the matter with you?
Can we rename the Senate the wood chipper?
Oh,
Or
God.
can we rename a wood chipper the Senate? Whichever way works better. I don't know yet.
I just want to replace the Senate with a wood chipper.
There we go.
It's like, oh, you wanna be in office? Oh, I see. So in you go. Be first, please.
This office is gas powered.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, and so I don't buy that the Republicans have any kind of moral high ground. They're just as scummy as anybody else. You know what I mean? It's just but in a sense, you are right, because the media always takes the Democratic side. It doesn't matter what it is. Like a perfect example is this hydroxychloroquine bullshit that's going on right now. Here comes Donald Trump, and he goes, "We have a promising drug. It's looking like it's nice. It looks like it works. We're gonna start looking into it."
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, everyone loses their shit.
Yeah.
For no reason whatsoever. Like, I can't even imagine the media reacting this way had Obama said something like that, right? They would have called it him showing leadership and giving us hope in these trying times, right?
Mhm.
But that's the thing about it. He mentioned hydroxychloroquine, right? And says this is promising. Some idiots in Arizona drink fish cleaner and one of them dies. All of a sudden, it's his fault. Turns out they're big Democratic donors who shouldn't have been listening to Donald Trump in the first place, but it's still his fault for some reason. I get he's influencing, he's mind controlling Democrats to make them drink fish cleaner so he can win the election. See, he's meddling again. That's what it is. He's meddling again.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, here's the thing. Let's be honest here. Donald Trump's response to this coronavirus thing, woefully inadequate. Woefully inadequate. We can admit that, right? That he downplayed this thing from the very beginning. He gave conflicting information right as this thing was really popping up. But here's the thing: I can't hold that too much. The downplaying thing, I can't hold that too much against him. You know why? Because you know who else was downplaying this thing in January? Me. I was downplaying this thing in January. I didn't think this thing was gonna turn into the global pandemic it became. I didn't think that. You know who else didn't think that?
Me.
Literally every Democrat in Washington, right?
And the media, and China,
and the media,
and the World Health Organization. In fact, he even there was a press conference that he held where he, like the masterful shitlord that he is, brought the lights down and put up on the projector screen a montage of the news media saying that, oh, it's not that bad. China says that there's no human-to-human transmission. The flu is worse, with a timeline of when they had said it. Masterful in real-life shitposting by the president, which you say all the negative things about him that you want. That is one thing that he is good at, is dunking on the media.
Shitposting. I mean, it's insane to me, right? I understand. Yes, Donald Trump downplayed it. He was slow to react. Everybody was, though. You think that when he instituted his China travel ban, they called him a racist for him.
Yeah.
For it. What do you think that anybody in January would have accepted a nationwide lockdown the way we have now in response to coronavirus? What do you think the New York Times would have said if he came out and said, we need to cancel the NBA, we need to postpone the MLB, we need to cancel every major sporting event in the country, and everyone needs to go home and lock themselves in, and we need to tank the economy? What do you think they would have said about that if he did this back in January or February?
Well, that's just the thing. We don't have to.
Tyrant.
We don't have to speculate, because at first he he was doing too much, then he wasn't doing enough, now he's doing too much again, now he's doing all of the wrong things. You know, they can't get their story straight. We can't get our story straight. Nobody can get their story straight because nobody has all of the facts.
It would be nice. It would be so nice to have a media you could trust, right? That's something you're supposed to be able to rely on. And when you tune in to the evening news, they're telling you the truth and not spin. That would be so nice. That's not what we have. We have an unreliable news media that is all about political bent. That's what they have, right? And it's so blatantly obvious, and it's frustrating. So frustrating. You know, and here's it's been from day one of the Trump administration, it's been, don't make me defend this guy. Right? This guy is an idiot. He's a buffoon. He's stupid. He shouldn't be anywhere near the presidency. But my God, you guys are being so fucking stupid. You're forcing me to come out and say, hey, maybe it's not a bad thing that he's talking up a drug that might save lives. Maybe you're being a little unfair when you say that he didn't do enough soon enough when you were literally telling everyone that the flu was worse. Right? Something that you berate people for saying now. Right? So we all thought this was nothing, right?
I still think it's nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's as big a deal as people are saying it. I don't think it's that we need to destroy the entire economy to fight this thing. Really? No. I don't. Right? I think it is a big deal. But I don't think it's worth throwing away the entire Constitution to fight. I honestly don't. I think that we are too readily throwing away our civil liberties in order to fight a virus that, when you really look at things, is not as deadly as the fearmongers would have you believe. Right? It is a deadly virus. It is very contagious. It will cause a lot of problems and cause a lot of disruption. It is not worth ditching the Constitution, right? No, it's not worth giving the government the right to lock you in your home, to arrest you for going on a walk, to write down your license plate when you go to church on Easter Sunday and fine you for it. It's not worth letting governors order healthcare workers to report on patients to law enforcement. It's not worth that. No. Not at all.
We're out here trying to justify sacrificing our freedoms in order to save the country that won't be worth living in if we sacrifice our freedoms to save the country which won't be worth living in. Yeah, it's like a feedback loop of stupid. You know,
here's an article. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if you're old or you're immunocompromised or whatever, then, you know, stay home, be safe, wash your hands extra, don't come in contact with people. If you're like me and you don't give a shit about the Wu flu, go out and lick shopping cart handles, whatever.
Don't do that.
Build up your immune system.
Even in good times, it's probably not a good idea to go out and lick shopping cart handles. That shit is gross. All right, so here's one of the articles I just referenced. It's State Senator opposes Walz's order to share health info with law enforcement. State Senator and medical doctor Scott Jensen publicly requested Sunday that Minnesota Governor Tim Walz rescind his executive order that compels the Department of Health to share COVID-19 related information with law enforcement agencies. Walz signed into effect an executive order that compels healthcare providers to give law enforcement agencies the addresses of coronavirus patients Friday. The state says this new policy is intended to protect first responders from letting them know if they may be entering an infected household. However, Jensen and the American Civil Liberties Union are concerned that this order represents a violation of privacy and an overreach of executive power. Jensen issued his request that the governor rescinds his order via Twitter, reaching across the aisle, joins hands with the ACLU. And this is tweet. Governor Walz, I request that you rescind the executive order compelling MDH to send private health information on COVID-19 patients to hundreds of law enforcement agencies. This is an overreach of authority, which is why the ACLU is opposing your action, and he is absolutely right.
Yeah, no shit.
He's absolutely right.
It's a breach of doctor-patient confidentiality.
I want to know where the authority to do this comes from. Is it written into these state constitutions that the governor is allowed to do these things? I doubt it. I haven't read each state constitution from each of these states, but I'd be willing to bet you that they don't actually have the legal authority to do any of this. Virus or no virus, they do not have the right to do anything that they are doing, right? And the second that they are forced to contend with that, they're going to have to go back on every single executive order they've made. And here's the thing. I would like a benchmark right now, right? Someone give me a benchmark. What is the criteria that has to be met before we start reeling back these policies, right?
I would use constitutionality as the benchmark. One of the guys here says there's emergency orders written into state legislation. You know, there has to be some type of a standard to what is and is not an emergency, because you can't just go out and declare every single thing to be an emergency. And one of my old platoon sergeants told me a story about a guy that he had under him at a different duty station one time. The guy was always out of uniform. He always never got a haircut and wouldn't shave, and just a total ragbag. And so the platoon sergeant told him one time, he said, "You just do whatever the fuck you want, don't you?" And the guy stood there and looked at him for a second, goes, "No, Sergeant, I do whatever you let me get away with." And that's precisely the attitude that these governors are taking. They're not doing whatever they want. They're doing what they're allowed to get away with. And right now they're going for broke and seeing what they can get away with. And you got groups like Judicial Watch and the ACLU, they're holding their feet to the fire, but those are small operations.
I mean, you did absolutely right. And here's the thing. Civil liberties only hold any weight if the general public is behind them, right? And to me, this is very reminiscent of the aftermath of 9/11. If you remember, after 9/11, civil liberties took a back seat to safety. Remember that? Everybody was panicking. Everyone was frightened. Everyone was scared. And the government stepped in and said, "We are going to make you safe. We are going to take care of you. You guys don't have to worry about anything. Just give up your civil liberties to us, and we will take that bad feeling away from you." Right? And that's what the government did. They came in, they bombed a bunch of people, they killed a bunch of people, they rescinded a bunch of your civil liberties, and everybody cheered them every step of the way until somewhere down the line, they kind of woke up and said, "Hey, wait a minute. Why did we let you have all that power again? Why did we let that happen?" And by that time, it's too late, right? The Patriot Act is still in effect to this day.
Yep.
You're not getting rid of it. It's a permanent fixture in the legal system now. Yep. All because we gave up our civil liberties in a moment of fear, and we never got it back. And it's not likely that we'll ever get it back. What are we going to give up now in our present state of fear that we will never get back in the future?
I don't know. We're 19 years on with the Patriot Act. We've reeled it in some areas, but it's expanded a lot further than we've been able to reel it back in. And with the technology that's available right now and the spurious language that it's written in, there's really no saying how far it's going to go. And this is just another example of scared people allowing the government to do whatever they want.
There were protests, I believe, today in North Carolina as well, protesting the state lockdown. And wouldn't you know it, police showed up, broke social distancing rules, and arrested as many of them as they could. So that's another constitutional right that you're giving up, the right to protest.
Right, and they even said in the The Facebook post of the Raleigh police department said that protesting is a non-essential activity as per the governor's executive orders. It's like, excuse me, but First Amendment, supreme law of the land, right to protest, redress of grievances.
Yeah, isn't it great for the governor that he can just declare protesting his actions as non-essential? Isn't that convenient? I wonder.
Yeah.
Like, great for him. That is like super cool for him that he can just say that. Right.
Right. And everybody wants to focus on the federal government's overreach, but with this being kind of dispersed down to the state levels and the local levels to handle it as they please, we're starting to see a lot of petty tyrants start to carve their little fiefdoms out and get away with whatever they want. And some places are going to take it. Other places, I'm not so sure about how much longer this facade is going to hold up.
Yeah, talk shit about Trump all you want, but just about all of these policies that we're seeing in this country are being handed down by governors, right? It's all locally based. This is not Donald Trump telling you to stay in your home, right? It's not Donald Trump arresting protesters in North Carolina. It's not Donald Trump writing down license plates of churchgoers in Kentucky. It's not Donald Trump arresting waterboarders in California or dads playing T-ball with their daughters in Colorado. No, it's not the federal government doing any of that. It's state governments.
Yep, and quite the opposite. The federal government, and Trump in particular, is trying to order these governors to cut the crap and open everything back up.
I'm glad you brought that up because we got a clip of Donald Trump. I think this was from either today or yesterday, talking about this very thing. Take a listen.
If a governor issued a stay-at-home
when you say my authority, the president's authority, not mine, because it's not me. This is when somebody's the president of the United States, the authority is total, and that's the way it's got to be.
Total. Your authority is total.
It's total. It's total.
Your
And the governors know that.
So if a
The governors know that. Now you have a couple of bands of. Excuse me. You have a couple.
Could you rescind that order?
You have a couple of bands of Democrat governors, but they will agree to it. They will agree to it. But the authority of the President of the United States having to do with the subject we're talking about is total.
Okay, first of all, I don't know how total the authority of the president in this regard is. Now, I will read you what the president's oath of office is, and this is from the Constitution, or this is Constitution. It goes, before he enters the execution of his office, the president shall take the following oath. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of the President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. So there is some level of, yeah, you can enforce the Constitution onto states. That's the, what is it, the 14th Amendment, I believe it is, that enforces constitutional laws onto states. And seeing as how all these orders being put down by governors are blatantly unconstitutional, there's nothing constitutional about any of this, then yeah, the federal government can overwrite that. Now, this is not, you can get into the federalist argument as to whether or not this should be the case, right? Because I do think we should be a federalist system. I kind of like the fact Nebraska doesn't have a lockdown order. And that's because our government, for the time being, is not as stupid as a lot of these other governments.
All right.
I give no credit to Petey Pricketts for that, because every day he seems to more and more want to do that. But I think he's understanding this is a very rural state, and the lockdown's not necessarily necessary there.
Yeah, in places like Lincoln and Omaha, you guys out there kind of have a little bit stricter than what we do out here. And they're saying that Grand Island is a COVID-19 hotspot with a whole 200 confirmed cases in a city of 60,000. It's like, give me a fucking break. But yeah, it's, people are making a lot of hay about the language that Trump was using in this, and I'm going to chalk it up to just the fact that he speaks in broad colloquialisms. He's not out there like banging the drums of authoritarianism or anything like that, or claiming to be a dictator. He's claiming that, maybe he is claiming that, he just wants to reopen the economy, and if these these governors want to keep passing these silly regulations, then he'll just come out and be like, no, executive authority, you're going to get back to work because what you're doing is unconstitutional. Things like, fuck, I kind of lost my train of thought.
Here's the thing. It's all about, here's the thing. Donald Trump, he talks like a stupid person because a lot of times he is being a stupid person, right? Here's how Barack Obama would have put that. He would have said, there's a lot of Republican governors out there who want to destroy the economy in order to hurt my in order to hurt my chances. They're doing this viciously. They're hurting the working class. They're hurting the poor. I have the authority to open up the economy. And if they don't want to go along with that, they got to understand that that is my authority as the executive of the United States. And if I want to do that, I can do that. And the media would praise this as leadership because, he'd say it in a much more articulate way than Donald Trump is capable of, right? Mm-hmm. And because the media is a Democratic lapdog, they just kiss the feet of any Democrat they can come across. But that's the thing about it. And I've said this from the very beginning of the Trump administration. Donald Trump is just another bad president. Another bad president and a long line of bad presidents, right? He's not better or worse than Barack Obama.
He's just bad in a different way.
Right. His level of bad is a different level of bad, right? It's a different version. It's an inarticulate gut bad, right? He talks from the gut, and that comes off as pure stupidity, right? And he does a lot of stupid things. He does a lot of stupid things because guess what? He's not a libertarian. He's another statist, right? He's another bad president, but he's not uniquely bad. He's not fucking Hitler, right? He's just bad in the same way a lot of other presidents are bad. He's bad in the sense that he's not a libertarian, which is the standard that we use for good. Libertarianism good, statism bad. All right? But they like to pretend that he's fucking authoritarian. And the funniest thing about this whole thing, they've been begging him to issue national lockdown orders, right? They've been begging him to do that. And he hasn't, and they've criticized him for that. And now he says, I have the authority to open the economy back up. Like, authoritarian. He's going to open the economy back up against the will of the states. Like you just were making the argument not long ago that he has the authority and should use that authority to shut things down. Shouldn't you agree that goes in the opposite direction too? That he can open things up if he wants to.
Orange man bad.
That's the thing about it. It's so aggravating, and that's why I absolutely hate the state of the modern media right now. And I don't think it's going to get any better. Orange man bad, D man good. Joe Biden doesn't have dementia, and Hillary Clinton didn't kill Epstein. You can't trust a word these people say.
Yep.
Not a damn word.
Yeah, none of it matters.
No, nothing matters. Okay, I got one last. A couple other things. Apparently, Donald Trump has decided to cut funding from the World Health Organization. That's something. A little bit of good news.
Good. Fuck those people.
All right,
seriously, right in the face.
Here's an excerpt from a CNN article I saw. It goes, President Donald Trump announced Tuesday he is halting funding to the World Health Organization while a review is conducted. Trump said the review would cover the WHO's role in severely mismanaging and covering up the spread of coronavirus. Trump's announcement comes in the middle of the worst global pandemic in decades, and as he angrily defends his own handling of the outbreak in the United States. Amid swirling questions about whether he downplayed the crisis or ignored warnings from members of his administration about the potential severity, Trump has sought to assign blame elsewhere, including the WHO and news media. Why does it sound to me like CNN is running interference for the WHO?
Well, because the WHO is running interference for the Chinese Communist Party, and CNN is a bunch of closet communist sympathizers.
Well,
At
here's
this
the thing.
point, at this point, I think that we need to, without joking at all, we need to seriously consider that the World Health Organization is compromised from the ground up. I heard something the other day. It's something like 4 departments in the World Health Organization are staffed by officers of the Chinese government, and not a single other government on the planet staffs more than 1. You've got the WHO giving contradictory, false information throughout this entire thing. The one country I think that has handled this outbreak better than any country in the world is Taiwan. And the WHO refuses to even acknowledge that that country exists because of pressure from China. When the director of the WHO was asked about Taiwan's efforts at this, he at first acted like he didn't hear the question. And then when the reporter that was interviewing him tried to repeat the question, he's like, no, let's just move on. And then when she insisted on talking about Taiwan, he just dropped the call from Skype, just hung up on her. So, yeah.
Yeah, WHO.
Chinese Health Organization.
The WHO has been carrying, and here's the thing: I don't know if we have to go as far as CNN is a bunch of communist sympathizers to figure out why they might, carry on for the WHO. Because if you want to make, and let's face it, CNN is all about making the current administration look as bad as possible. Right. And one of the ways you can do that is to contrast them with countries that are doing things right. Right. And if you choose to believe the official numbers coming out of China, if you choose to do that, you would don't do that. But if you choose to do so, you would see that China has had no new cases in weeks. It's a miracle. Why can't Donald Trump be as competent as the Chinese government, right? And that's why they carry water for the WHO, because it allows them to contrast the success story, quote unquote, of China against the horrible failure of the United States. Look, China flattened the curve. They've had no new cases. Why can't Donald Trump do that? Oh, it's because he's the most incompetent man in the world, and he's a racist and a bigot, and he probably did all this to pump up stocks and make money.
Oh, mission failed.
What was it that they were accusing him of promoting hydroxychloroquine because he has like $1,000 in the medical company that pumps out a generic version of it?
Yeah, it's like a mutual fund. He has a mutual fund full of investment portfolios that he's got $1,000 tied up in a generic manufacturer of hydroxychloroquine. $1,000 out of his tens of billions of dollars of worth. That $1,000.
That's his master plan right there.
Yeah, and the thing is that stock, I heard it this morning, is that particular stock, since this kicked off, has increased a whopping 17%. So if he has $1,000 invested in it, he has made the kingly sum of $170.
That bastard.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, he can go out and buy 2 video games for that.
Woo-wee.
High fucking roller right there. I mean, so yes, I am all in favor of cutting funding to the WHO. The WHO is the ones that told everybody way back that, the China told us there's no human-to-human transmission, so no need for any investigation of any kind. We just kind of take their word for it and tell the whole world this. That turned out not to be true. So, we want to talk about Donald Trump's slow reaction to this thing. Donald Trump's not a fucking doctor. The WHO is one of those organizations that you're supposed to be able to listen to and to give you accurate information when it comes to this sort of thing. And they dropped the ball from the very beginning, right?
Oh, yeah.
And here's the thing. Everyone believed it, from the president to the media to the Democratic Party. Everybody believed that this was no big deal way back. That this was contained to China, that it wasn't going to get out, that there was no human-to-human transmission, blah, blah, blah. I guess they were. I guess the WHO was wrong.
Yeah,
very suspicious.
All these people making the joke that the president even mentioning hydroxychloroquine is bunk because Donald Trump's not a doctor. These are the same absolute retards that just a few months ago were praising a 16-year-old autistic Swedish girl as the prophet of the climate. So I don't want to fucking hear it about so-called somebody without credentials not being able to even talk about anything. So piss up a rope.
Yeah, seriously. And then it just, all this does is erode any trust anyone may have had in the media. And a time it would be really nice to be able to trust what they have to say. But we can't. So, oh well. All right, that's it for us tonight, guys. We're going to wrap it up right there. I hope you had a good time listening to the show. Remember, we do this show every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Central, live, right? So if you want to be a part of the show, tune into our Facebook page, Road to Liberty Podcast, Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Central, and you can be a part of the show too. We read comments aloud here. We show them up on the screen. So if you want to be part of this conversation, get in on the action. Road to Liberty Podcast on Facebook. Get in on that. Also, remember to subscribe to the Think Liberty Podcast, like their page on Facebook, and visit the website, think-liberty.com. All right? It's a lot of good stuff going on there, a lot of shows, right? We're not the only ones on that network. There's like 3 other shows there, and they're all fantastic, right? So get in on that. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And we'll see you guys next week on the next episode of the Token and Hobbs Show. Good night, everybody. And be safe. Don't catch the Rona.